You see, I would love to personally be a video game historian. The only problem is I feel like I'm a little late to the party. But to EA's party in the last few years, I've had the pleasure of taking a lot into account. So in 2016, EA was a hero. They released Battlefield 1, FIFA 17, and Titanfall 2, three games that seemed to appeal to their respective communities on the surface. But on an in-depth look, it was apparent that all was not well. Well, first, the FIFA 17 community weren't so happy about their game after a while. They thought everything was broken after some patch, and Titanfall's 2 developer felt a little not so happy. I mean, look at the title of this article. It was apparent that Vince Zampella was dissatisfied as being sandwiched between a franchise that he had built, which was Infinite Warfare, and another sister first-person shooter game. But I still supported Titanfall 2. I got a copy on sale that Christmas season, but I never really got to play it because I was so busy with The Division at that point. But I've always admired Respawn's work. I've always enjoyed hearing Vince Zampella's opinions and reasoning about things in the gaming community. And so he's just one of those developers and leaders that I do look forward to seeing his work. So come 2017, EA, running with the momentum from 2016, were scheduled to release Star Wars Battlefront 2. There was anticipation in the gaming community, only for gamers to realize that the game was going to be a microtransaction fest. This made it quite difficult for EA to sell anything after then without consumer distrust. To add salt to injury, Mass Effect Andromeda was a mess, and while this was all happening, EA eviscerated Visceral Studios, a studio that was making a Star Wars single-player linear experience. And they did so with a public statement which concluded that gamers did not seem to want a single-player linear experience or something that they call that. So they dropped Anthem early this year in 2019, and that didn't even work out for them because it's kind of difficult to drop a looter shooter service if you don't have a long-term strategy in mind and if you don't have any credibility at all. So the only reason why the Division franchise still has any life left is because Ubisoft has a long-term strategy in their development. If not, it's going to be a big mess. But EA doesn't seem to have that long-term development strategy for most of their games, not that they've said anything about it, so it's easy to see how Anthem did not do well in the current climate that EA had created. But as it stands, EA seemed to have flipped on their entire position. Since Respawn was able to bring home a Battle Royale style game, which was an initial success, it seemed to remind EA that consumer trust is key to selling video games in today's market. You see, when your demographics is from age 24 to 45 years old, then gamers start to make critical decisions like voting with their wallets. And since Vince is a celebrity in the eyes of some gamers, well, seems like EA actually quit joking around and actually are going to give gamers what they want. And let me spell it out here for you guys. A single-player linear experience with no microtransactions and no DLC. What? I feel like I must be living in an alternate universe. Oh wait, remember those EA share prices and how they were in free fall sometime a few months ago? Ah, yes. Share prices, a thing. You see, folks at EA, their business model was not going to sustain them long term. And I think it taught a lot of people a very, very valuable lesson. Because just recently, Amy Hennig in an interview discussed the single player thing, and she said that gamers weren't completing games anymore, which is not necessarily factual because I completed Metro Exodus, a single player linear experience, and many of those gamers who like pain completed Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and stuff, but maybe it's just me dreaming. I mean, I completed God of War even 3 times, another single-player linear experience. And so nevertheless, I think EA is probably at a point of desperation, and they've seen that their business model, coupled with the difficulty of bringing new games to the market, is not going to sustain any kind of business venture for them in the near future. So the so-called Game Changers program, which they actually tried to use to push forward some games, apparently didn't work out for them. Instead, it brought more skepticism than trust within the gaming community. So dear EA, it'll be nice if you guys don't use that approach to market the new Star Wars game. Just leave the gaming community to review, critique, and do their thing. And trust your audience to be capable of making sound purchasing decisions. We're adults, don't worry. If your game is good, we will buy it. And most gamers already like Respawn anyways and have always wanted to see this studio shine for a few years now. So I think this Star Wars game is probably going to be accepted with open arms if EA is going to keep to their word of removing shady, dirty microtransaction trash from the game. Now, regarding this Star Wars game, I just want to say personally, I'm open to playing it. I seriously am. I like some aspects of the Star Wars lore and the adventure of the whole thing, and I'll be willing to definitely give it a chance if it's truly what is being touted to be. But nonetheless, I'll be approaching it with a lot of skepticism because I seek to yield to the words of a very wise man who put it this way: trust no one. Thanks for watching this video.